my little Tattle Tells. How y'all doing today? Gobble, gobble. Happy turkey holiday. Listen, I wanted to come on and answer a few questions that a lot of people had about what's going on with the Shanquella Robinson case. As you guys know, an arrest warrant has been issued. However, there's a few things everybody's overlooking. A red file has been issued, an extradition process. And guess what? I'm going to break down how the trial in Mexico goes. And baby, things aren't looking good for anybody that's arrested, because it is completely different than the American justice system, but in a good way when it comes to this. Are y'all ready to get into some facts? We can talk fiction later. Let's all talk about what we know, what the red file is, what's going on with the extradition, and what's going to happen when they get to Mexico, how the trial's going to go. It's going to shock you. And also how much time they're looking at. It's more time than anybody actually thought. All right, let's get into this. First of all, let's talk about the facts that we know. According to Daniel de la Rosa, right? He is the Attorney General for Mexico's Baja California Sur. As you know, Cabo is located in the Baja California Sur. He is the Attorney General that is in charge of prosecuting all criminal acts that come through there. This is official. This was on ABC News. This was on CNN. Listen to what the man is saying. An arrest warrant has been issued for one of the people that was caught on video in the brutal attack. That's what they're calling it, right? There's no longer a fight. In the brutal direct attack of Shanquella Robinson. Now, who is it? We've heard Winter Donovan. We have also heard it was Dejanay Imani Jackson. However, they have declined to release the name of whose name is on the death warrant. If you hear somebody say somebody's name, the Attorney General, the person that issued it, has declined to give the name. Everything else is just speculation. But most people are saying it's one of those two people because, as we know, Dejanay was on the first video that was widely circulated when she was squaring up. And also, Winter Donovan, according to some members of Shanquella's family, was pictured actually body slamming her to the floor. We do not know all the evidence that the Mexico authorities have. They have not shared it. However, they have moved swiftly in prosecution. Now, one arrest warrant has been issued for capital murder. We're going to get into what that means, how much time they're facing, and why this trial is not going to be something good. There are 5 other people. 5 other warrants have not been issued. I'm sorry, there are 4 other people. 4 other warrants have not been issued. If you count Nasir in, that makes it 5. So there's Nasir, Khalil Cook, Alyssa Michelle, of course. Excuse me. In any case, let me get back into this. The warrants for the other people have not been issued. That does not mean they will not be issued. No one, and this is star date, what is this, November 24th? As of 9:59 p.m., no names on whose name is on that arrest certificate has been issued by the authorities. That is verifiable fact. Go to CNN. Okay, are we all on the same page, right? The Mexico authorities, even though it's been widely circulated that she might have been alive, okay? The Mexico authorities say, somebody's lying. How do we know that? Because the police report, everybody is talking about the police report, saying, oh my God, she was alive for 3.5 hours, and the medics said they did this and this. The Mexico authorities are saying that is BS. The Mexico authorities are saying the doctor, the 2 police officers, and the authority that signed off to let the Cabo 6 leave lied completely. They believe, according to the autopsy report, that they conducted themselves, that she had descended into heaven before the medical official got there. Again, this is not speculation. This is not me. Oh, y'all just talking. This is me telling you what the Mexican authorities believe. How do we know that? As you know, autopsy can give time of death, and they can give time of death down to certain, down to very narrow time margins. The Mexico authorities say that she died of internal decapitation, spinal injuries. As you know, that is what she passed away from. They are saying that she died within 15 minutes of those injuries. And the autopsy, the medical report that the actual people, the coroner conducted, says that she died at in or around 3 p.m. We know from the notes of the concierge, the doctor that the Mexican authorities are saying is lying, and everything else, that they believe that the police report is pure. It's fantasy. It's fantasy. They don't believe it. Okay? You guys can argue. You can say it can be proven different in a court of law. But this is what the governmental authorities are saying. That's it. Go to CNN. Go to ABC News. Scour the net. This is what's saying. Now, let's talk also about the red file. The Mexico authorities said that prosecutor De La Rosa has said that a red notice, aka a red file, has been placed for that person to be arrested, even though they have not publicly released the name. What is a red notice? Let's just get into this, right? The red notice is a request to law enforcement worldwide. So here's the thing. They fled to America since they were not under investigation. And when I say under investigation, their passports had not been seized. They were not named as a suspect. They were just, an investigation was going on. They had not been named as suspects, and no arrest warrants have been issued. They could be in the U.S. However, they could have hop, skipped, and jumped over to a flight on Air France. They could be in France right now. They could be in Turkey. They could be in Istanbul. They could be hiding in their mama's basement, okay? The red notice is a request to law enforcement worldwide to locate and provisionally arrest a person pending extradition. This is a worldwide call to bring them to justice, no matter where they are. Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no mountain low enough to keep you from standing justice in the country that wants you, right? They will arrest, they will provisionally arrest a person to extradite, surrender, or similar legal action. It's based on an arrest warrant or court order issued by judicial authorities in the requesting country. We know that the requesting country is Mexico, and we also know that they have issued an arrest warrant. Woo! Now, red notices are published by Interpol at the request of the member country, which is Mexico. Again, you guys, it's only issued in crimes of murder, the R word, child abuse, and armed robbery, okay? Information to identify the wanted person, name, date of birth, nationality here. Again, a lot of people say it's either Winter or Dejanay. I'm telling you guys, as of today, the Mexico authorities have not released that person's name. I believe they have not released that person's name quite simply because they are hoping that they can shake the table and get everybody to start turning on themselves, and I'm sure they will, right? Okay, red notices are important because they are used to simultaneously alert police in all member countries by internationally wanted fugitives. Red notice help bring fugitives to justice, sometimes many years after the original. I will say this, right? This red notice is very important. Even though they are wanted in Mexico, for arrest, they might still try to board a plane to France. That red notice that Interpol even shows up when they are at border control, passport control. I know it's a pain in the butt to go to passport control most of the time, but that's what it's for. So at any time you pull out your passport, right? Anytime you pull out your passport, that red notice comes up, you are provisionally, which is temporarily, arrested, detained by those local authorities to be deported to the country that requested it. Okay, we're on board. So this means that if they are overseas, they'll be found. Interpol's no joke. And if they are planning to run, right, change their name to Sally Donovan and live off of the coast of Lisbon, guess what? Or Madeira, guess what? It's not going to work. Their passports will bring them back. Now, what else do we know, right? We don't know the name. We know that it is a woman because they refer to her as she. This is what Attorney General De La Rosa of Mexico's Baja California said. She is a U.S. citizen who is believed to be in the United States. Woo! Okay. Now, what else do we know? Let's talk about the time that we need, right? Let's talk about the time that they might be serving, because this is very, very important. A lot of people said that, oh, Mexico only gives 20 years for capital murder. What's the difference? America has murder in the first degree, manslaughter, negligence, all this other stuff. Mexico just has capital murder. It's under Title 19, Chapter 11, Article 320. You can get 20 to 50 years. 20 to 50 years. I know in America it is a life prison to death. Mexico does not believe in the death penalty. It is 20 to 50 years. However, interestingly enough, when you try, let me see how I can explain this. When you try, it might be more than that. Because when you try cases in America, right, let's just say you get charged with murder, attempted murder, all this stuff, right? If you get convicted of murder and they make the case, murder, let's just say murder is a life prison, right? All the other charges you have underneath you connected to that all consolidate. So it means you're only going to get charged and get sentenced to murder. The attempted murder, even though that might be 15 years, they're not going to give you life plus 15 years. They're going to say, no, we already got you on the big charge. All those other little charges consolidate under it. However, Mexico doesn't do that. Even if you have murder, they'll still look and say, well, was it robbery? Which people say that they used her credit cards after she was dead, which is considered a form of theft or robbery, right? So you could say, oh, you have robbery, you have kidnapping. A lot of people think kidnapping is snatching you from one place and holding you against your will in another. However, the true legal definition of kidnapping is holding you without your consent in any situation. So I could walk into a room to talk to you, right? And I walked in under my own free will. And then I say, yo, I'm done talking, let me out. And you lock the door, right? That is considered kidnapping because you are holding me without my consent. You're holding me against my will. They can actually make a case, perhaps, that they did kidnap her if they held her against her will. We do know, if it does come true, that they used her credit cards. It could also be a robbery. It can also be a number of offenses. What makes that so important in Mexico? Because each offense will tack on to that time. They don't consolidate under that one umbrella. So they could get 20 to 50 years for one crime, 20 to 50 years for another, 20, 50 years for another. The case will have to be tried. The family has requested a personal autopsy. I know that the Mexico authorities did an autopsy. That's how they found out this. However, the autopsy failed to mention whether, when it asked on the autopsy, did you die of accident or violence? They just put yes. They didn't specify which one. They also made no mention of alcohol. Also, to actually see if those other four Mexican, the doctor, the police, and of course, that government official in Baja Sur that signed off on the Cabo 6 being able to exit instead of being held while the investigation was going on, if they find out that they lied, which they suspect they did, but if they get actual proof from that thing, charges will be pressed against them. Now, how can they find out they lied from the family's private autopsy? Well, for a number of reasons. They said that they administered CPR for 15 hours. 15 times. Most medical professionals will actually say there should be some damage to the rib cage. CPR does not come without a cost, okay? They will also look to see with their autopsy, was there alcohol in her blood? Everybody said there was alcohol. Also, of course, there were bruises all over her face. How did the doctor not notice? Now, I'm not going to get into all the things like they should have known, they should have known, they should have known. My whole point is this private autopsy that the family is waiting on is the other shoe to drop, and it will let us know what, if any, corruption was going on and who was into it. I have other videos on Shanquella. Go ahead and look at them because it has some interesting evidence about the medical versus the forensic autopsy, and also it just rips their whole story apart, okay? But let's get into this. So yes, capital murder could be 20 to 50, but if they find proof of other crimes, such as covering up, such as conspiracy, so that will tack on to the capital murder. Also, this is actually really important. They will have to, they are being extradited to Mexico. The FBI has already given permission for Mexico to try. Why is that? Because we have a treaty. We have a treaty that citizens, right, since May 4th of 1978, extradition of United States citizens, the United States and Mexico signed an extradition treaty on May 4th, 1978, that provides for the return of those who have committed crimes and fled across either the United States or the Mexico border. As long as it is a crime in both countries, they give each other permission to extradite. Murder, of course, is a crime in both our countries. Now let's talk about why them doing this in Mexico. A lot of people are saying it's premeditated. I honestly do believe that what they did was premeditated. I have theories on that, but we can do another video about my theories and questions I would like the authorities to look into, right? Or I think they should look into. Right now, let's actually talk about cold, hard fact. One, they can't get parole. Now, we all know that in America, they might give you life, right? But they give you commuted sentences. They give you time off for good behavior. They will even shorten your sentence. That's commuted sentence. They will shorten your sentence if you are a model citizen. So you could have life in prison, but you can get out in 20, 25, 28 years. You might even be able to get out in less time. Okay, that doesn't happen in Mexico. That does not happen in Mexico. They say time actually served in Mexico differs significantly from time actually served in America. Parole does not exist under Mexican law. Therefore, Mexican officials rarely commute or lessen sentences. Once sentenced in Mexico, a criminal may not have his or her term diminished for good behavior, as is typically the case in most American states. But more importantly, you know they're not going to have a jury. Do you know they're not going to be able, first of all, they need to get an attorney, right? But do you know they're not even going to be able to argue their case in front of a judge, not the traditional way? Get this, right? Again, this is in a Mexican criminal trial. Let me take you through the steps because I made a little flow chart I think you guys might like, right? Now, the public ministry receives a complaint and orders an investigation. In this case, and I'm going to apply the facts to the law. In this case, the medical exam, the autopsy that the Mexican coroner did signal, oh, it looks like it's foul play. Not only that, the family made a formal complaint as well to the local authorities to investigate. The local authorities actually investigated, right? They actually investigated. Now, three things can happen. The case is placed on hold for lack of evidence or suspect. Or the case, along with the evidence, is submitted to the judge. Or the case is closed. No criminal violation has occurred. As we know, because of, let's hear it for social media, right? The family, of course, the family, God, everyone, but also social media, that we shouldn't shut up, that a complaint was actually filed and they actually looked into it past even that. Do you know that even that video that was circulating around online, right? Do you know that the Mexico authorities had not even seen it? Social media brought that to their attention. Okay. Again, the family brought it to attention, but you see what I'm saying, right? Now, what happened in this case? The case, along with the evidence, was submitted to a judge. Now, when the case is submitted to the judge, that person has to be in custody. So once the people are extradited, all the evidence and the case wrapped up together is submitted to the judge. But the person has to be on Mexico soil before they'll submit the case to the judge, right? Within 72 hours, the judge will look at the evidence. So the judge has 3 days to look at the evidence. Now, two things can happen. The judge can look at this and be like, what is this? And the case is dismissed. Or evidence is sufficient for a detention order. Now, you might say, Tisa, you just said a red file. You said that they were brought back to the judge. A detention order is an order for them to go into a Mexican jail and await their trial. That's right. You await your trial in jail. Now get this. So they get in, the judge is like, oh, yeah. There's more than enough evidence. We're going to trial. You are detained in a Mexican jail while you're waiting for the trial to go on. But get this, you're not even getting trotted out in front of the judge every single day and at least getting a glimpse of sunlight. No. Listen to how the trials go. There's a period of instruction. Lawyers submit additional evidence and written cases. So the police and everybody submit all the evidence they want to the judge. The judge is like, oh, hell no, they're going down. Go get them. They're detained in the Mexican jail while the judge is reading over documents, right? The lawyers argue the case on paper. They don't make oral arguments. There's no jury. The lawyers, both sides, submit additional evidence and written cases to the judge, right? Now, in the final hearing, the lawyers make oral arguments to the judge. So, you know how in America, let me just tell you how that differs. As you guys probably know, there's big trials, they're talking to the jury, they're putting on a show, they're trying to sway and be, ooh, no. You argue on paper. When the judge is like, okay, I've read all your arguments, I've seen all your additional written evidence, anything else to say? Each lawyer, prosecution and defense, gets one oral argument. And the judge issues the final order explaining his decision and sentences the offender. Now, if you're saying, Batista, right? I'm confused. When do people testify? People testify on paper. It's all written out. The depositions, the testimony, their version of events, it's all written out. Now, in very rare cases, very rare cases, the judge might ask somebody to testify, but it is a very rare, and when I say rare, I mean rare case, but it could happen. But even then, it's in very narrow margins. Woo! The trial, again, this is deep. Mexico's criminal prosecutions vary significantly. Decisions are made solely by the presiding judges and may be appealed only twice. The trial occurs behind closed doors, and statements and lawyers' deliberations before the judge are kept to a minimum. Witnesses seldom appear to testify in person, since judges make their decisions by carefully studying the evidence presented before them, including depositions and formal statements. Under the system, the evidence contained in Article 4 case file, that's an extradition, is the major determinant for the outcome of the trial. Again, the evidence you submit. Now, let's get into one more thing. Now, two things. Once the judge, and the judge himself, no jury, issues the final order, and he explains his decision, and he also sentences him in the same breath. In America, the judge says, jury, if you want a jury trial, what say ye, right? They say guilty or innocent. If you decline a jury trial, the judge will make that decision. Sentencing is held in a separate trial. In Mexico, that doesn't happen. Sentencing and the trial happen at once. So after that, can they get out of it? Only two things can happen. One, there's no objection and the order becomes final. Or two, the objections lead to an automatic appeal. They do give you a chance to appeal. The judge's actions are reviewed. They think, did the judge follow the letter of the law, right? It's still his idea on whether you're guilty or innocent, but they just see that you violate any procedure. Now, if they're like, the judge didn't violate procedure, you might not agree with his opinion, but he followed all procedure to make sure when he came to his opinion, right? You're screwed. The only last resort is habeas corpus, and that is when you basically sue the government saying they are, your body is being held against your will. Your body has been seized by the state against your will. And that is for cases where you're like, I'm really innocent. And, you know, the innocent project, I'm really innocent and you guys should let me out. You guys, listen, all I have to say to this is they are in a world of hurt. And again, it's not that they won't get a fair trial in Mexico. I'm sure they will now that enough people are. My issue is they don't even understand how different the system is and how what we consider in America basic minimum for fairness. I need to argue my case. I should be in trial. I want to testify. I want to argue. I want to do cross-examinations. They're like, no. Do that all on paper and the judge will be there. And no, you're not going to get a jury. You guys, the Cabo 6 are going down. The Mexico 4, it looks like once that autopsy comes out, will go down too. Anyway, my little Tattle Tells, I wanted to just give you a little outline on the procedure. I'm going to follow this every day. I'll be giving you updates every day. Keep foot on next. Keep pushing. We have not gotten a conviction. And as you know, the other 5 people have not gotten arrest warrants. I will let you know as soon as we can confirm whether it's Winter or Desjardins. And I am telling you, they have not released that person's name. If you heard they released that person's name, Attorney General de la Rosa has said that is false. They've not released any names on individuals, but at this time, because they did let it leak out that it was a woman, we know it is one of the 3 girls, Desjardins or Winter, or it could be Alyssa. We don't know, but being as we saw Desjardins and the families, certain parts of the family are alleging that Winter also, come on now. Y'all, let me know what you think in the comments, and I will talk to you later. Bye.